It's review time, everybody. We're back for our second bourbon review. This is part 2. We told you guys what we're reviewing. And again, it is Buffalo Trace from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. We could not be more excited to drink it with you guys and talk about it. Brendan, Ben, week 2. How you guys doing this week?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a long week, so I'm ready to start drinking.
Yes, I have been sober for 4 days because I got a vaccine and you can't drink for a few days, so I'm ready to get back into it.
It's time to go. So this was Brendan's pick. Brendan, tell us about Buffalo Trace. We've all got our bottles, all ready to go here. Talk to us about it.
All right, can you guys see this? All right, Buffalo Trace, isn't that beautiful? It's a thing of beauty. Buffalo Trace is from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. It's Sazerac brand. It is 90 proof, 45% ABV. It's from the Buffalo Trace mash bill line of 1. So they have a 1 and a 2. 2 is usually the higher rye one. So this is low rye. It's about 10% rye or less. The age statement, it varies depending on what website you go to, what you check out. It could be between 8 and 10 years. Sometimes you see 6 to 8, average of sometimes like 9.5. Bottom line, there's no age statement. It's at least probably about 6 years old, maybe gets up to 10 years, depending on what gets mixed in there. It was released in 1999, and it goes between, I guess, depending on where you can find it, but usually $24 to maybe $28, $29.
For a 750. Obviously, there are different sizes. You can get really good deals. We'll talk about this later. I got a liter of it. So Ben's drinking a 750. I've got a liter. My liter was 30. Ben got his 750 at $19.99. Ben is the Costco fiend. Brendan, do you remember where and when and what size yours is?
That's a very personal question. So I do, I do remember. I've gotten multiple Buffalo Trace because it's a regular in my rotation. I have gotten it at the Costco deal at $19.99. Awesome. Usually about like $24, I think, maybe 23 or so at the ABC by my house as well. That's the most I think I've ever paid for it.
All right. So while you've been kind of going over with us, Brendan, Ben and I have been sticking our nose in these glasses. I do want to shout out. Check this out. I put this on social media. I don't know if you guys can see it. I obviously can't figure out which way the camera's facing. Bourbon on a budget, Glencairn glass. So
nice.
I've got these on order for you guys. Hopefully we'll get them to some other people real quick. But yeah, I was super excited about that.
Been waiting on mine.
Well, it's in production. So hold your horses. So Ben, what are you smelling here? Where are we at with this nose on this one?
Yeah. So first off, a lot of vanilla, a lot of caramel, or caramel, if you want to do it. But I also get a lot of corn. I get a lot of like sweet corn on the nose. A little bit of apple, a little bit of citrus, but primarily a lot of corn. And that could be, back to the fact that, as we talked about in our earlier show, that mash bill 1 is such a really high corn mash bill. So that's probably what's coming through.
Brendan?
I don't want to be boring here and repetitive, but caramel.
I married a lady named Caramel or Cara, so like caramel is how we say that in my house. But
okay.
Yeah,
caramel. We'll do caramel from here on out. Vanilla as well, but like those are the two. Caramel, vanilla, boom, right out the glass. Also though, like for me, I get like a kind of a honey note and like as it settled in, and I poured it like earlier too to kind of let it settle. Like Honey Nut Cheerios almost, and it's like not nutty, but definitely like that kind of grainy, and maybe that's the corn nose. But that's what jumped to my mind right away was the Honey Nut Cheerios.
I definitely can get the honey. Definitely can get that.
I mean, we've talked about this, but bourbons are going to be the characteristics of vanilla and caramel and some of that oak are always going to be there. Ben said the apple. I totally get that. And I remember getting it on the taste. I haven't had Buffalo Trace in a little bit. And so, we'll see when we get to the taste in just a moment. But yeah, no, I'm totally getting those things that you guys are mentioning. The apple is really strong. A little bit of floral undertones, but the honey I'm now picking up now that Brendan mentioned it. So I like that.
Yeah.
So you guys sipping while I was going over the nose. What are we thinking there, guys?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right away from me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah,
definitely honey.
Yeah, definitely honey. A little bit of apple, a little bit of citrus. I would say a little bit of spice at the end, but mostly honey, apple, caramel. Yeah, straightforward Buffalo Trace. It's great.
Maybe because I haven't had anything in a few days, but it's a little spicier right away on the palate than I would have remembered or would have thought for something that's 90 proof. But maybe that's just me because I haven't had anything in a few days. But definitely the apple, and I think it's kind of a common note in the Buffalo Trace line, especially for like the mash bill one stuff. I know it's like Eagle Rare, some other ones. Apple definitely pronounced there. That's very very like a caramel, like a candy dipped apple. You know what I'm talking about? Like the ones at fairs. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, no, I'm going to give my daughter this instead of a caramel apple for in fall time. Just kidding. Red,
she's 21.
Like she's I'm 30 and have a 21. No, I get a ton of that apple. I get a little bit of that rye spice that you're talking about, Brendan, and I didn't just get my vaccine 4 days ago. So, it's not just you. I think I'm right there with you. Man, it is so, we talk about the taste, not only the flavors, but the smoothness of Buffalo Trace. It is so easy to drink. Brendan said it's in his everyday rotation. I mean, it's in ours too. Like Ben and I always have a bottle of it. Ben has like 4 bottles of it. And every time Costco comes out with another one, he's like, hey, I'm going to run up to Costco.
Might as well buy one.
Like in case there's like a bourbon apocalypse and you can't get any more, like Ben has more Buffalo Trace. If you need Buffalo Trace, you need a good deal on it. Just hit Ben up. Now that he has
$30 a bottle.
Twitter. So good flavor on this. Like you said, a lot of those pretty traditional bourbon characteristics, but really sets itself apart with that apple. It's very distinct. The apple on the Buffalo Trace is not something you find a lot of places. Nose done, taste done. How does it finish for you guys? Brandon, you go first on this one.
It's toasty. It's got a nice little barrel char, like not too much though, not as much as the Russell's Reserve, which we did last week, but it's got a little bit of that there. What I really get though a lot is that sweet corn that Ben mentioned on the nose. Like it's like that candy corn kind of deal. I get a lot of that on the finish, and it's a nice finish. It's got a nice Kentucky hug there, but nothing crazy. It's kind of what I would expect at that proof and at the level here. It's good though.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Nice solid finish. To me, it finishes a little bit more on the spice side, but like I said, at 90 proof, I think it's pretty accurate of where, not too hot, not too mellow. It's nice. It's pleasant.
Oh, sorry. I did get a little bit of cinnamon at the end there too, as I'm kind of chewing on it some. So a little cinnamon at the end too. Nice little hint of rye spice for something that's low rye. It shows up a nice amount there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to, just by habit of, what we're doing, we're going to compare things to like, such as last week. I like this finish better than last week's finish. It doesn't drop off as much. It lingers a little bit more. You get a little bit of that rye spice that Brendan talked about. For caramel and apple and cinnamon all in one, like this is literally an apple pie in a glass. Really good. So yeah, I like this finish. I think it's a good finish. You get some of that spice. Is that trademarked Kentucky Hug? Oh, that was good.
Yeah, I've heard it from somewhere. I can't.
Okay. Well, it was the first time on this show that it's been said. So.
But apple pie in a glass may not be trademarked. That should be something that maybe you pitch to the Buffalo Trace people.
I'm gonna call them tomorrow. Trademark, registered trademark. All right, cool. So there's our nose, taste, and what was the last? Finish. Let's get into scoring this bad boy. Brendan, remind everybody quickly about our scale.
All right, real quick. 10-point scale is what we got. 1 being awful, or 0, I guess, technically being awful. I don't think we'll ever give out a lot of zeros. 5 being mediocre, average bourbon.
I can find a 0 if you really want us to find.
Maybe we'll do like a 0 episode where we all try to do the worst one and share it with each other. 10 is the best, though. Obviously, it's an elite value here. That was what we're trying to monitor here on Bourbon on a Budget. We break it down in a few different categories. There's nose. It's on a scale of 0 to 2. Taste, it's 0 to 4. Finish, it's 0 to 1. Cohesiveness and complexity is out of 1. Value is out of 2. And that gives us an overall grand total of 10. We do decimals 0.5, but we don't want to do any less than that.
So we're going to get into rating this bad boy. Ben, I think your ratings are better than any of ours. And so
I would agree. Yes.
I'm going to let you start.
I'm going 1.5 on the nose.
1.5 out of 2. Mm-hmm. What could have been better for you to go with 2?
A little more complexity. I'd say it's pretty one noted. Just kind of middle of the line, but it's great. But like I said, it's nice. 1.5.
Brendan?
I'm at 1.5 as well. It is very nice, pleasant, got a nice amount of flavors to it. Nothing crazy, but it's very well rounded and pretty. It's good.
Yeah, I hate to be so repetitive here, but I can't say that it's an average nose. I can't say it's the best ever, so I'll go 1.5. Moving on to taste. This is where I'm excited to do this one. This is one of the easiest drinking bourbons that people can find. It's got a great taste. Brendan, you start us off on this one.
I went with 2.5. I kind of was going between that 2 and 2.5. Like it's certainly above average to me. It's not elite, but it is very easy, pretty smooth, pretty straightforward though as well. So it just stops right before being super complex, which would get into the 3 range for me. It is very nice though.
Ben?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. 2.5 is a well-deserved spot out of 4. Not as complex as I would like it, but really good.
I think I'm going with a strong 3 on this one. I think there's a lot going on. I'm probably partial. I'm probably rating a little heavy. I think the taste is just as good. We all gave Russell's a 3 last week, and I think this taste is just as good as Russell's is. So I'm going to go with the 3. I'll keep it going with the finish. I gave Russell's a half last week. I'd probably give this 0.75, but I'm going to stick with the half on the finish here. It's better than the Russells, but I don't know that it's a full half a point better. Brendan?
I went with a 1 on the Russells last week, and Ben, rightfully so, dragged me for that one a little bit. It was probably a tad high. And so I like this finish more than the Russells, but I don't think I can give this a 1 as I reflect on it because it's not a perfect finish. All that being said, I wish I had a redo for last week. I'm going 0.5 this week. It's very nice. It's not exceptional. It doesn't last forever, but it is really, really solid. If I had to go with the 0.75, I would, but we're not doing that.
Ben?
0.5.
0.5. We're keeping it consistent there on that one. Cohesiveness, complexity. We'll go Brendan here first.
Certainly cohesive, right? Like the apple note kind of goes throughout with the nose, the finish, the mid palate, all that stuff. I got a nice little spice to it. Not super complex though, so it's got part of that for me. I'll go with 0.5.
Ben?
0.5 again. I'm with Brendan on this one. Not complex enough, but cohesive.
I think I'm going to go with 0.5 as well. I don't think it's as complex. I gave Russell's a full 1 last week. I don't think it's as complex as that. Pretty cohesive. It's a nice drink, but it's not overwhelming. So out of 8, I've got a 5.5. Brendan has a 5, and Ben also has a 5. I'm half a point up on you guys. Ben again bought this for $19.99. My value, I bought it for a little bit more considering the size of the bottle. Brendan was a little bit more as well. So you guys are both 5 out of 8s. Out of 2, where's your value at?
I will say for me, well, let's see. So it's a 5 out of 8. So it's an above average bourbon at a below average price. I would give it a 2 if it was readily available everywhere. The one issue is that in some places of the country, it's really hard to find. So you can be like Ben and find 4 of them for $20 each. You could be some people in certain parts of Florida and really struggle to find it. So I'm going to give it a 1.5. If it was readily available everywhere all the time, it would be a straight 2 for an amazing value. So 1.5 for me.
I completely agree with Brendan. If I could walk into a store and buy this every day, it'd be a 2. But I can't. That's why I have to buy it whenever I do see it. So 1.5.
I'm going to go full 2 here. And I understand what you guys are saying with the availability. That said, I don't need to buy it every single day because I can't drink it that fast. And by the time I finish, I've actually got this bottle. I've got a handle of it as well. By the time I finish either one of those, I will have purchased another one. So it's hard to find, but I also don't need to find it every single day. And so by the time I need it again, I will have it. It's not as rare as the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection or something crazy like that we talked about in the main show that went along with this week. So I understand what you guys are saying there, but I don't think the fact that it's not on every single shelf is that big of a deal. Like I said, it'll be there within the next 2 weeks when I need it again. So I'm going to full 2. It brings our ratings for this week. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Ben and Brendan both coming in at a 6.5,
Mm.
and then yours truly coming in at a 7.5. So a full point higher. I gave the Russell's Reserve a 7.5. I think we're figuring out that I'm just going to rate things a little bit higher than you guys. Are you happy with your 6.5 score, gentlemen?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. We're talking about that being certainly above average value for an above average bourbon. Yeah, I think we're good with that.
Yeah,
I would
think
agree.
so. I think if we could give quarter points, I think we probably all would have landed around 7.
Mhm.
You know, I think I went high on a couple of things and you guys went low on a couple of things when you had to round up or round down. So if we take the average of our 3 scores, it is just under a 7, right? Like 6.83 or whatever that would be. Don't check the math if you're watching this. But just under a 7. That's good. That's a really good bourbon for not very much money. So if you can find Buffalo Trace near you, get it. I think this is a go buy, right? Like I don't know what the final, thought on Russell's was. I think we said go get that as well. If you can't find it, hit Ben up. He'll give you a deal on one. So, any closing thoughts before we get out of here on this review, you guys?
I would say it's definitely worth having in your collection. If you have the opportunity to buy it, always buy it. No bourbon lover is going to turn you down if you offer him Buffalo Trace.
Yeah,
Unless it's like a crazy high price. Like don't be buying. I've seen this at like $40. It's not worth $40.
No.
Right.
Wait for it to come out to another store at a better price. Brendan, sorry, I cut you off.
Be excited if you find it. If you find it in the mid 20 range, low 20s, I think that's fair. Probably one to always have in your collection, like Ben said. I think experienced bourbon lovers or people very new into it, this is a perfect like entry level bourbon. If you're trying to get someone into it and transition them from mixing, Coke and bourbon to just straight bourbon, this is probably one of the first ones I would recommend to people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So another good review. We all came right around a 7, 6.5 to 7.5. Go get Buffalo Trace if you don't have that in your cabinet already. Share your thoughts with us. You can comment below if you're here on YouTube. If you're listening, you can go to Bourbon Budget or Budget Bourbon, is the handle on Instagram and Twitter. You can search Bourbon on a Budget to find all our social medias. Interact with us. Let us know your thoughts on Buffalo Trace, and we will see you guys next week. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Cheers.